welcome to Critical Café. I'm Ryan Khalil, also known as the Tailor of Flavor. We have our guest here, Malik Khalil, happens to be my cousin.
Thank you for hosting me.
Absolutely. Glad to actually have you here. We're at the restaurant Alia in infamous Amman, Jordan, in Abdoun Circle. Behind us, we have the lovely circle of cars going around. So Malik, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for work.
So my name is Malik Khalil. I'm 28 years old, turning 29. I'm a software engineer in terms of a profession, although I have a ton of interests and hobbies as well.
Very cool.
Yeah, I mean, we've known each other our whole life, so
Yeah.
I'm kind of telling you stuff that you already know about me.
Yes.
Of course, I have a huge passion for coffee and, of course, for food. Probably not as much as you when it comes to food. But when it comes to coffee, roasting, being a barista, etc., it's a big hobby for me.
We did a lot together.
We did.
We did a lot together.
We definitely did, yeah. We roasted together, we were baristas together, had many Sunday rushes.
Yep.
Where everything was flying and trying to catch up with orders.
Oh yeah, we've done a lot of things.
Good memories. I'm happy to be in Jordan, in Amman and Abdoun, one of the most happening areas in Jordan. A ton of beautiful restaurants like Alia, the place that we're at right now, as well as coffee shops. Excited to see where your show ends up going in Amman. A ton of nice places to record at.
Yeah, it's gonna be our first time just taking an idea and turning it from fiction, and we want to turn it into reality.
Right.
I'll be honest with you, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm happy to go along, and I'm happy to have the people with me go on the journey with me.
Right.
And slowly define the details within the vision. And the vision of this kind of the vision with this concept was to come up with different ways through food and beverage and just having conversations.
I think something that will be powerful for your show is people have like a certain skewed vision of certain places in the world. And I think as somebody who's like Middle Eastern in terms of ethnicity like we are,
Yeah.
but also American born in residence,
Correct.
we can probably help that bridge that gap a little bit.
Yeah.
One good way is the way you're doing is through food. So basically show the different dishes that people here like.
Yes.
Because people can relate to each other through food a lot of times. But also you have the opportunity to show the culture too.
Yes.
Like there's a lot of commonalities. People here love America. They love American things. And I think if we started to show a lot of what Amman has to offer, people from there would actually love to visit and enjoy their time here and plus somewhere like Abdoun.
Correct.
A lot of great food, a lot of great coffee, a lot of great people, great hospitality.
It's honestly been wonderful. I've been here for 3 weeks so far. I've met a lot of wonderful people, and you're absolutely right. It would be nice to bridge that gap and shed some transparency on what Jordan and Amman has to offer.
Right.
Because like anywhere else in the world, there's always going to be good areas, bad areas, good people, bad people.
Totally.
And a part of what we want to do is we want to spread kind of care and love and we want to spread care and love and compassion in any form that we can find. And I have a set of goals and ideas to try and guide it through having conversations. And I think there's something along the way that as we talk and as we talk with more people, we might find that something that we say might hopefully inspire somebody else or spark something in someone else that's watching on the other end to maybe change the way they think and to help them, maybe to help people around them as well.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Please.
Yes, thank you. One over here, one over here. That's one thing that's beautiful here is the service. They have all kinds of coffees and teas. This is a very common Turkish coffee.
Correct.
That they serve here, right?
Yes, it is.
And this is a very common tea with mint.
Correct. Do you want it served?
Sure, yeah, thank you. Yeah, the hospitality here is great, that's for sure. This is kind of like a golden color tea. It's like a black tea, which is very common here that people usually put mint and sugar with. Thank you very much. Thank you. Lovely tea. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Usually put some mint in there. You can put sugar if you want. I'm trying to stay away from it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah. I think so. I'm just giving you what I think, right? Here's my idea. So I think there's two things people can benefit from you with this podcast. The first thing is kind of mentioning the whole Jordanian American fusion thing. I think you'll have like a unique perspective on life,
Well, being half German, half Jordanian, born in America,
Right.
taking German engineering and Arab hospitality, kind of putting them together to
Exactly.
create the backyard brew, which
Exactly.
you actually helped me create as well.
So I think you're in a good position to basically look at things from multiple people's perspectives. Because a lot of times they'll say, think about it as if you were in their shoes.
Correct.
And most people will say that, but they don't know actually to live it.
How to implement that within their own life.
How to implement
It's easier said than done.
Right.
Yeah.
People will say it in kind of like idealistic terms. Oh, think about it from their perspective. But if you've never ingrained in a society, in a different society,
Yeah.
if you've never lived the things they lived, if you've never eaten the things they've eaten, if you never partied the way they partied, ate, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't really experience life the way they did.
Correct.
And so if you had that opportunity, I mean, you spent a lot of time here, you spent a lot of time in the States, also in Germany.
Yes.
You have a unique view on the world, and you can kind of give that to people. So I think that's very powerful. I think this is going to be a popular place for people to come, especially in the summertime. You have restaurants open till 2, 3 a.m. serving amazing food.
Correct.
Great prices,
Correct.
quality foods, right?
Correct.
Amazing drinks, coffee, tea, you name it. There's life, just like New York. They say the city never sleeps. Same thing here.
Yes.
You go any time of the day, there's something going on.
There's always something open. There's always something happening.
There's always something going on. A lot of times you'll go to a country, they don't speak English, right? If it's not their primary language,
Correct.
It becomes difficult. But in a place like Jordan, especially Abdun, most places, even if they don't speak it, they'll be able to understand you.
Correct.
So if you want to look for something particular, you want to eat something particular, you can explain yourself in English, they're more than happy to help you out.
Correct. That's actually been one of my greatest experiences because I'm still learning Arabic. I can't read or write it as of yet. And honestly, everyone's been pretty wonderful, help guiding and assisting, and everyone's been wonderful helping, guiding, and assisting in direction when it came to going anywhere to eat, trying new things, seeing new things.
Right. Actually, something I've been wanting to talk to you for a while. I think something you asked me before that I think is worthy of discussion is I think it's a good segue when we talk about like hospitality and everything.
Yeah.
A good question you asked me in the past that I'm remembering is like, how do you define compassion, right? Like, what does that word mean to you?
Yes.
And how do you become a more compassionate person?
Correct.
So I think that's a good question. I've been kind of pondering on it for a while. So I think like thinking about compassion made me think about what I call the ripple effect, which we've discussed before. And
many times.
Right.
With many people, and
right.
we think it out loud to try and grasp the idea of it.
So the way I would kind of define the ripple effect, and I think this goes kind of hand in hand with compassion, is let's say you have like a lake, like a body of sitting water, right? And you grab a rock and you kind of throw it, like we try to skip it as kids, right? As many times as possible. If you notice, every time the rock hits the surface of the water, every time you break the surface,
yes,
right, you create a ripple that is not instant, like it's instantaneous in that sense, but it doesn't end at the same instant that it begins. Like it creates a really prolonged ripple effect. Like you can see the ripple proceed throughout this body of water. And where I'm trying to get at with this is like, also you'll hear people say with every action there's a reaction, like in terms of physics.
Correct.
And so
every action has an opposite equal reaction.
Opposite and equal reaction, exactly. And so that gets me thinking sometime like on a personal or societal level, like even between two people. It could be like between two people, even within a society. Like any action you make, whether it's a verbal expressed one, like you say something, or an unexpressed action, like let's say I sit closer to you, or let's say like I'm chatting with you and like my hands are like this,
body
right?
Language, yes.
Body language, like all of these things create a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Like they affect everything around you.
Correct.
Like, first of all, you'll notice, other people will notice, they'll start to think, oh, it's something.
There are unconscious layers, you're saying.
Right, and it's, if you actually think about it, like everything around you, it's actually pretty deep. A lot of times you don't think about it because they're not necessarily big things, right?
I feel like a lot of people are on autopilot and they don't mean to be.
That's also true. Right. Like if you don't force yourself a lot of times to self-reflect, you'll be on autopilot forever.
Correct.
And how does one improve themselves if you're on autopilot forever? Right? I'm not trying to say that I'm a perfect human being, like we're all flawed.
Correct.
But my point is, I think if you can put this frame of reference, like this ripple effect in your head, I think it can make you a better person. And that goes for anybody, right?
That's a great way to frame it. That's a great way to frame it.
I'm curious, what's your thoughts on compassion and the ripple effect?
It's honestly morphing, and the more that I talk about it, it's one of those things.
I'm going to take a sip of this lovely tea.
It looks good.
It's beautiful.
I
I
might
have the mint
take a
in
sip
there.
after you.
It's beautiful. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine. I mean, it changes constantly, because as we grow, we kind of change ourselves. Like, I'm not the same person as I was 5 years ago.
Right.
And I truly believe in, I want to be better today than I was yesterday, and I want to be better tomorrow than I was today.
Right.
And I think over time, we slowly define who we are and who we become. And a lot of people don't necessarily understand that the words we choose to use in our daily lives create the person who we become, and they
100%.
dictate our futures.
100%.
So words are very powerful. We got to be very careful of what we're thinking, what we're saying, and who we're saying it to.
Do you mind if I interject just for a minute?
Please.
So I think that's a lesson that I think I learned later in life.
Mm-hmm.
What you're saying, like a lot of times it's not what you say, but it's more how you say it.
Yeah.
That's something I learned later in life. I think once I got married to my wife, I learned that from interactions with her. She kind of taught me that, which was like, you can be saying the same exact thing, even if it's something some other person doesn't want to hear. It's not necessarily a good news, right?
Correct.
It's a bad news. But depending on the way you say it, as long as you show like compassion for the other person,
Yes.
like we just discussed.
Correct.
As long as you show that you care about that person's feelings, like you're not just saying it, like throwing it on their plate and, oh, figure it out. It's like, I understand that this is going to bother you, like this bad news or whatever it is. Even if it's a small, minor inconvenience, like I understand this is going to bother you.
Yes.
You're not going to like it, but this is just how things played out, and say it in a nice way, basically, and that'll affect the outcome for sure. Whether that's your spouse, like I said, in my case, my wife, or even my parents.
Yeah.
Right. I learned that with my parents. Siblings, because once you get married and you move out, like in our culture, like you live with your family.
Yep.
You get married, you move out, you open your own house.
Yep. You
What they
start
call,
your own.
what they say, بتفتح بيتك, when you get married, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you get married. And so a lot of times when you're living with your family, like your parents, you're so used to living with them and being around them all the time that you don't treat every small interaction with caution.
Yes.
With your parents, especially at an older age, where they may have.
I think self-awareness kind of kicks in a little bit later when you're
Also true.
pushed into corners and responsibilities pushed onto you.
Right.
I think the world that we've been leading into with this, if I offend anybody, I apologize, but gentle parenting and the idea of trying to over-explain and or over-coddle and over-shelter children from the outside or external forces of the world is almost a disservice to the next generation.
Right.
I have kids myself, and I see the byproduct, and I see the byproduct of other families and how they go about raising their children. And with mine, I actually just focus on pushing them to become better individuals. I want them to explore, and it's their first time on earth.
So can we take advantage of this for a second?
Please, yes.
You're speaking about like kind of robbing children of certain experiences.
Yes.
Coming back to the whole like bringing Jordanian American, together, or merging the cultures together. I think one thing I used to appreciate coming here when I was younger, and you also experienced that as well, was in Jordan, a lot of times, like with your family or even your neighbors, like as a kid, you'll go outside. You don't even have a plan for the day. You got nothing to do. Right? You're coming on vacation.
Correct.
People will get together and you'll decide a plan and just do it. Like you might go for a stroll.
Spontaneous.
You may go for a stroll and end up in the next town over,
Yep.
or the next town over, and be outside all day and meet new people and have new experiences. I think nowadays people are a lot more fearful for their children.
Yes.
They're not as willing to let them go out and explore and do things.
Oh, they just told us to go out.
Right. They used to tell us,
go out and have fun.
Here's
Here's $1, go out.
exactly, here's a couple bucks, figure it out, have fun.
Exactly.
Nowadays, people want to shelter their kids. Here's an iPad, watch this video,
They
which is okay sometimes. Or I don't like being extreme on any side, but at the same time, I think it's good that children have those human interactions.
Yep.
Because you can use that later on in life.
Well, they need it.
Right.
You need it. The only way to grow is through struggle, honestly. Without struggle, there is no growth. A lot of people love going to the gym and they love the physical pain, no pain, no gain.
No gain, right.
They say this all the time, but everyone tends to forget that there's the mental gym too.
Right.
There's no pain, no gain there as well. And so we need to face those struggles, those fears, those...
No, I totally agree with you.
What I'm looking for. We need to face those questions or those thoughts that we tend to run away from. And we actually like to use the gym to run away from the questions we need to actually face.
People, if they have like a failed relationship or something goes on, they lose their job, they'll hit the gym. Once things get better in their life, you'll see they got a belly now and everything.
Yep, exactly.
I've been guilty of that in the past too.
The dad bod.
There was actually something that you mentioned to me. I totally forgot it. If I think about it, I'll bring it up again.
Absolutely.
Something I really like that you brought up before.
in and around compassion, or?
Oh, I just remembered it.
Go for it.
So we were just talking about like the mental gym, right?
Yes.
One thing that I don't like, I think we've discussed this, and of course everybody's different, right?
Yes.
But just the way I see things from a personal level, how I live my life, I agree with you in the sense of I don't believe in self-sabotage.
Correct.
Right? Like
the bicycle beam.
Yeah. So a lot of time people will go on this, they call it like a downward spiral.
Yes.
Let's say, for example, you get bad news, like you broke your ankle on a bike, or let's go a little bit more extreme. Let's say like you lost your job, right? And of course that's devastating for anybody, right? Even you lost your business in your case, like something happened, you had to shut down, whether it's temporary or permanent.
Yeah.
And now you get in this doom loop where you're depressed. You don't go to the gym anymore. You stop talking to people. You stop eating good. You start eating junk food.
Yep.
And you go in this downward spiral where everything in your life suffers. You stop caring about your health, about your mental state. And I think
it's kind of where the 7 deadly sins kind of kick in and take over.
Exactly. You start to eat and a lot. So I think the point is like we should always strive to be on this upward spiral instead. I think you mentioned this. We've discussed this before. Like start with one small thing and build on that.
It'd be interesting to almost ask, and honestly, if any viewers have ways of doing this, is to call each other out and helping each other, like calling each other out on our bullshit.
You know what I've noticed?
That's helping each other out.
I totally agree with you. The only thing that I've noticed in the past was comes back to how you say things. A lot of times people in that downward spiral, if you say something in the wrong way, they'll take offense to it, and you think in your head you're helping them or trying to help.
Correct.
But they take it in the opposite way. So I'm curious what you think, like what's the best way if you see somebody in that type of spiral, how do you get them out of that?
I've been in those situations multiple times at both coffee shops actually, and both backyard brews, one in North Carolina, one in Palo Alto, California. The one in Charlotte, North Carolina, the one in Palo Alto, California. And each time I try to, just like a doctor, I'm not saying I'm a doctor,
right?
But just like a doctor, you kind of take, it's case by case. It's situation by situation.
Right.
We don't know what and that's how I approach everyone in the world. I don't know what anyone's really going through in that moment every single day of my life.
100%.
But I am aware enough that one of my favorite words is sonder. It's, I need to look it up really quickly.
Yeah, go for it. No, but I like the point that you brought up where you were saying like you never know what somebody's going through. I think something I've noticed a lot is like, let's say like road rage, right? Or people getting ticked off easily at other people just for saying a word. And you have to realize like life is this really complex thing.
Yes.
People have responsibilities. They have negative things going on in their life.
Here's the word.
Yeah.
Sonder. The realization that each random passerby is the main character of their own story, living a life just as vivid and complex as your own, while you are just an extra in the background.
Right. 100%.
And realizing that I am everything and I'm nothing at the exact same time is the craziest, like,
right.
It's hard to grasp or fathom, but it's one of those things, like, I believe that I'm not better or worse than anyone.
Yeah. This comes back to something we talked about before, which was like ego and thinking one is better than thou. And that's really bad. So
God complex you're talking about.
Right. I think like no matter what your financial, societal, whatever status is in anything in life. Yeah, is there something else?
Culture, religion, race.
Exactly, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's
Country.
not, whatever it is,
Yeah.
It's wrong to think that you're better than anybody else. Because like you said, everybody's the main character in their own story. The person they are is the summation of all their life experiences and the things that they've been through and their environment leading up to that point, right? So let's say, for example, your financial status is better than someone else of your age.
Sure.
Right? That could have just been that you had a better starting place. Like
Correct.
You started a little bit ahead of them.
Correct.
Whether it's parents, whether it's education, whatever it may be. So seeing somebody else, seeing yourself as better than someone else, like that arrogance is something I don't like in anybody. I don't think it's a good trait to have. And I think it also will hurt you in the future.
It is true. And I actually don't fault people that have those negative tendencies or those bad energy tendencies, because like a good friend of mine had told me, we were walking one day, we were walking actually through the farmer's market in California Avenue in Palo Alto, and we stopped in the middle, and he tapped me on the chest and he said, just look, everyone is cosplaying.
Is cosplaying.
Everyone's cosplaying. It's not that they're pretending.
Right.
You know, it's not that they're lying. Everyone's cosplaying. Everyone's a character.
Right.
Everyone has their name, has their parents, has their siblings, has their situation, has their everything. Everyone is cosplaying.
Their unique thing they're living.
And it's everyone's first time on Earth. Some people believe in reincarnation. That's another thing. I'm not going to go into that. But that belief is that reincarnation belief is a real thing as well. But it's an interesting thought to process. And then when I look at my own kids, I almost see them and I say, "Welcome to the server.
Welcome to the Minecraft server.
Yeah. Welcome. It's your first time on Earth.
Welcome
too?
to the CS:GO server. You're gonna die 100 times before you get a kill."
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I almost found it kind of comical that we live this perceived life of, I don't know if this is from intergenerational trauma or how we were programmed from our parents or ancestry, but we have this idea that everyone has things figured out when nobody has anything
People
figured
have
out.
that thought even of their parents.
Yes.
Right? And so the way I think about it is like, of course, my parents have more experience than me, right? They've seen more things than me. Most of the time, that most people can say that with confidence. But that doesn't mean that, so there could be unique experiences that you've experienced that they haven't as well.
Correct.
So not every single scenario will they know better than you. I think in most they probably will.
Well, actually, all experiences, and this is something that hit me really hard recently. This is one thing that I discovered. Every moment is a one-of-one moment.
Correct.
Every moment is a one-of-one moment. And that's something that most people haven't fathomed yet.
That's facts.
So this moment that we have right here
100%.
will never, ever, ever be recreated. Even if we try.
It has a UID, unique identifier. No duplicates.
And it goes back to the idea, and I came along this through my little pilgrimage of building the business.
Right.
The torture that I'd gone through. And honestly, I'm glad that I went through it. Time is the most valuable asset that we own. Time is the most valuable asset that we own.
More than money.
More than anything.
Right.
Because we can always make money.
With time.
Right? Money comes and goes. With
True.
time. But the thing is, I can give somebody money, I can take money from somebody.
Right.
But I can never give somebody time, I can never take somebody's time. But I can share my time with somebody. And so one of the things that
That's how you show somebody you value them, right?
Correct. But not a lot of people
see that.
Are it's not necessarily, they're not aware of it yet. And for example, something that it kicked me in the head so hard is that I've gotten to a point where I respect being and time so much to the point that it's disrespectful for me to waste or squander your being or time, or your being or time, or your being or time, or anybody else around here. So when
100%.
when I'm present with somebody, my ultimate goal is to add value to my situation as well as your situation.
That's why one thing to add on to that,
We share this world.
100%. One thing that I appreciate when I hang out with somebody is when you keep your phone and your stuff away, because that shows that you're present in the moment. And
Correct.
that's a lot of times people will tell you, like in a business sense, they'll tell you when you're having a meeting with somebody, keep your phone on the side.
Correct.
Show that respect.
Correct.
Right? If you're talking to your parents, show that respect.
Correct.
So that goes to say with anybody. Like
Yes.
put that stuff aside, focus on that interaction that you're having with them.
That's correct. Unless someone's going through something that they're privately keeping to themselves, they need to be proactive. It's like when you have kids, you're getting a phone call from your child, you need to make sure that you take care of that.
True. Yeah. I mean,
See, it's crazy.
that's why
It's crazy how
life is not black and white.
No.
Don't ever take something somebody says as a hard and fast rule.
Correct.
There's always there's always wiggle room for things.
Yes.
Right. Like even rules in life or laws. There's always wiggle room. There's always ways around it. It's hard for how many people are in the world? Like 6-7 billion.
8 billion.
Whatever it is,
like that.
and billions. There's so many people in the world, and everybody's different. Different backgrounds, cultures, religions, even in the same family. If you look at the same parents, right? The same two parents, the siblings.
Yep.
So genetically, they have a very similar makeup, right? The two parents are the people who created them, right?
Yes.
Genetically. The siblings, a lot of times, will look, behave differently, act differently, have different interests, have different dislikes, right? And so if two siblings sometimes can't even get along, what makes you think that like a rule that applies for me can apply for you in the same exact way every single time?
Correct.
Maybe in 99% of the time, sure, but not in every single time. And it's good to be aware of that. But that's why I brought it up with the whole phone thing.
That's a great point. No,
is most of the time, keep it to the side. But of course,
Yeah, of course.
part of the wisdom is understanding that things are complex. And
It was a great quote I've heard. They say, "Be as ruthless in judgment of yourself, but be very merciful when judging others." And I found that kind of interesting because we tend to do the opposite.
100%.
We tend to justify our own BS, and we don't give anyone a chance. No benefit of the doubt. And just flipping that backwards has actually helped.
Oh, it's fine if I do it. I'm not a bad person. Oh, but he's an asshole. People do that all the time.
Yeah.
I can do it all day. But if he does it,
Yeah.
seen.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh, it's very cool.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.